Hey guys, hop over in here with me for a few minutes. How are you? How are y'all doing tonight? Hey Oreo, how you doing? How's it going? How's it going? I'll give everybody just a couple of more minutes to hop in over here. Hey Queenie, how are you? Hey Mississippi Granny. Well, I'm so glad you decided to join in the discussion. I'm glad you had a fun day today, Oreo. It's really nothing pressing or anything. It's just a general group discussion. I spent the day today and I spoke with some recovering addicts and some recovering addicts who have spent time in the jail system and that has had some experience with the polygraph. And I spent a little time discussing the polygraph with an officer friend of mine. And I was just going to share some of the basic things that I learned with you guys. I'm feeling better, Oreo. I am feeling better. My back feels better. You definitely can't feel that the nerves just constantly throbbing there, you know. So this morning I had caught part of Cam and Allie's live over on Cracking Cases. And I have nothing against Cam and Allie or Cracking Cases. But he was talking about innocent until proven guilty. And that whole spiel of blah, blah, blah. And I left a comment to the effect that nobody should be getting mad when we're looking at all suspects involved for possible clues of what happened to this baby. Whether it be we're looking at Don, Candace, Tim, Jody Sue, Andy, Hunter, Allie, no matter who we're looking at, they're all suspects at this point. Nobody has been charged. And I said, well, Cam, I have heard you go full blast on Don Sherfy Jr. and throw all his information out there, and a couple of other neighbors on Ben Hill Road. And I said, they do not get the same respect from you guys as Don and Candace do. So I just want to see it go both ways and not be one sided. If you are going to preach innocent until proven guilty, well, don't throw other people's information out there as well. Let's, you know, but the the point is, until somebody is charged, we should be looking at everybody because everybody is still a suspect. And I'm sorry if anybody gets their feelings hurt while we are looking for this baby. The fact of the matter is, Summer Moon Utah Wells is still missing. She has not been found. Well, somebody left me a comment under that said, "Oh, and by the way, all three of them passed a polygraph test." And that matters why? Why does it matter if they passed a polygraph test? Well, y'all know me. I'm going to look into, does this matter or not that they pass a polygraph test, right? If they even truly did. We know that they have 4 drugs of choice. And this is what we have seen with our own eyes on their lives by their own behavior. This is what they have shown us: meth, heroin, marijuana, and alcohol. Correct? And that's what the drug tests come back dirty for, right? So, let's just start with the meth that was in their system on their first drug screen. So, I sat down and I'm discussing with recovering meth addicts what it's like to be awake for 4 or 5 days at a time. And they go as far as telling me that sometimes that they could stay awake 7 or 8 days at a time. And after they had been up for 7 or 8 days at a time, they would crash and burn and they would sleep for a day or two. Okay. When they would wake up from this 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 day meth craze, they would have very little or limited memory of what occurred during this time that they were on this meth craze. So, if they were to take a polygraph test about events that happened while they were on that 3 to 8 day meth binge, they would quite possibly pass a lie detector test because they truly did not remember events that occurred because their mind had blocked it out or they were just that burnt up and that far out of it that they truly just did not remember certain pieces, parts, or events. You feel me? Y'all with me on that? Then you add other drugs to that would calm your nerves down, whether it be marijuana, Xanax, what have you. You're adding more drugs to it, which affects memory. But just them being on the meth alone for however many days that they were up. So after I talk to these recovering addicts for a little while and I hear the same story about how they're up X amount of days at a time. And I've heard stories of running naked through the woods in the wintertime with snow on the ground, and they did not have sense enough to realize that it was cold outside. That was one story from one lady that I heard today. She said, Val, she said it was the middle of winter time, and I did not have good enough sense to realize that I was even cold. She said, we were stealing this, we were stealing that, we were doing this, we were doing that to survive. She said, and then when we would crash, burn, and sleep, she said, when I would wake up, I would see these stacks of things sitting there, and I would not even remember where it come from. She said, I would not even remember what I had done on these 3 or 4 day trips that I had been on. Doing these things, stealing from these people, robbing these people. And she said, and I could have passed a lie detector test on it. She said, because I truly did not remember stealing or robbing from these people. So, what are y'all following what I'm laying down here? So, I asked this police friend of mine, this detective friend of mine, I said, would it be possible for somebody to illegally misplace their child while they were on a 3 or 4 day meth binge? And then when they're questioned about this child, be able to pass a polygraph test because certain parts of their brain had been suppressed. And he said, yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So does it matter to me that they could pass certain parts of that polygraph test? I don't ever want to hear about those polygraph tests again after what I researched today. And I'm just laying it out there in layman's terms and people terms the best that I can lay it out there for you guys. And that's, like I said, not even including the heroin, the alcohol, the anything else. This is just if we are going to look at the meth that they did test positive for, right? And that right there alone makes those tests absolutely not worth the paper the results are written on. And there's a difference in the way your brain processes crack cocaine and then the way your brain processes methamphetamine. And when you're sleep deprived, when you are past day 3, without food, you're dehydrated, without water, congratulations on being clean that long, though. I'm proud of you. So I'm sure that they did fail certain parts of the guilty knowledge on those lie detector tests. And I'm sure that there's certain parts of those tests that they were able, after they had slept for a couple of days, that they were able to breeze right through because their brain had just blocked it. So never again do I want to hear anything about those. Well, they passed the polygraph test. And have they taken another one since? And here's a little bit more food for thought. When, and this was something else that we were discussing today. When CPS took control of those boys, I am willing to bet, even though Summer was not physically there, that they took control of Summer too. And that way, when if and when Summer ever pops up, that the state of Tennessee has got custody of her. So when Candace says, I've got lawyers for the boys, what she means to say is, I've got lawyers for Summer and the boys. And the lawyers told me not to talk to anybody about Summer or the boys. And that's the part that she's not spitting out there. Does that make sense? So even though the state of Tennessee does not have her physically in custody, they do have custody of her. So technically, Candace does have a lawyer for Summer. And if that attorney told her not to talk to anybody about those kids, that included Summer, and if she told Ronnie Lawson that she had a lawyer for Summer and the boys, guess what? There you go. She does have a lawyer for Summer. Because if Summer pops up tomorrow, do you think that CPS is going to waste the time to go back through family court to try and take custody of her? Absolutely not. They've already got that paperwork in place. Exactly. And she has no intentions of going to rehab. This is like just all one big game to her for some reason. And it's really a sad, sad game. So many people's tried reaching out and helping her. I've seen it. I've seen lots of people try to help her. Strangers reach out to try and help her. And it does not a bit of good. Everything that rolls off her tongue is edited and twisted. Just like the bit about the lawyer. Just like when she says, and I've got a lawyer for the boys. You have a lawyer for the children, all of the children, because technically the state of Tennessee has got custody of all the children, including Summer. Just because Summer is not physically here does not mean that somebody does not have custody papers on her. And they're not going to just wait for her to walk back up and then go to family court to try and take custody of her. They're not going to risk her going back into that home and then having to pull her back out. Mm-mm. They've already done all that paperwork. She was the last one known. The last one known to have laid eyes on Summer. And people need to stop pulling witnesses into YouTube, because once they have been drugged through this YouTube hell, the witnesses are not going to be any good to the state of Tennessee. I seen a video where two other people had been down in Georgia trying to get Jackie Dobbs out of his house to talk. For one, Jackie Dobbs don't live in that house anymore. But I believe that Jackie Dobbs is going to turn state witness for the state of Tennessee. And there's a reason why he has not just come out and come forward on his own. And he doesn't need drug into this hell. I don't believe that the man had anything to do with it. For one, once Jody, Sue, and Andy run him off that property, the night before or the day before, they basically had eyes on him. Remember, they was going hotel to hotel, and they was checking the whole time to make sure that he was not anywhere near that property. I did message a little bit with Jackie Dobbs, and I will put what little bit I did message with him out in a video, but I will not pull the man out and publicly put him in front of a million witnesses for people to rake over and do like they did Jose, because I feel like the few people that we have left that we have not publicly invaded is going to be useful to the state of Tennessee. Now, the grand jury is set to meet on April the 11th. Let's cross our fingers and pray that there will be some sort of indictment for somebody on April the 11th. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Yes, that's Cookie back there snoring, Miss Faye. Miss Cookie's our mascot here. There's pictures and videos of her on my wall and in our community posts and stuff. She's a bulldog and she's old. But yeah, you often hear her snoring and grunting and stuff in our videos. But that's who you hear is Miss Cookie laying back there snoring. Let's see if we can get her. Let's see. Can y'all see Miss Cookie? Say hi, Miss Cookie. She's not amused. She wants to get back to her nap. But she's got a recliner that matches mine, and she rocks in hers, and I rock in mine, and she just snores. But yes, the grand jury is set to meet in Tennessee April the 11th. Let's hope. Because there's been a lot of underhandedness. There's been a whole lot of lying. There's been a whole lot of everything going on in this case that I have never, ever seen in another case before. Oh, absolutely, Teresa. Absolutely. Now, as far as tainting a jury pool, like social media keeps up with their statistics and demographics and their age brackets and everything on purpose. So I think right now, if they aimed for a different venue, if they changed the venue and aimed for jurors over the age of 40, that we could get a fair jury and they would still get a fair trial by their peers because, both of them are older. Um, Don's way older than me. Um, so I think that there's still a chance if there's a change of venue for them to get a fair trial. But as far as witnesses go, look at what they're doing with these witnesses. They're leaving nothing for the state of Tennessee. They are pulling witnesses forward and just running them through the public mill to where the witnesses are absolutely no good to the state of Tennessee once the trial happens. And we've got to stop. We've got to stop questioning the witnesses before law enforcement, before the attorney general, before the district attorney. We are not police. It's one thing looking for evidence. It's, one thing helping pull all this stuff out to light. But we have to learn to leave our witnesses alone and not pull our witnesses forward before law enforcement has that chance to utilize them properly. Look, Jody Sue, she's been out here in YouTube land so much that she will never, ever, ever make a good witness on the witness stand. If she was on the witness stand, every time she said something one way or the other, somebody would be pulling something up from social media and saying, well, but on X date, this is what you said. And they done it with Don Sherfy Sr. And even his statements about the kids being in the road, playing in the road, and just statements like that. That should have been left between him and law enforcement. Because now are those statements even going to be able to be used against Don and Candace? Today, I think that Brick girl was pulled out. And she lived with Don and Candace, just like Jose did. They've now, both of them has been drug out and through the mud. So everybody that's lived with Don and Candace, none of their testimony is going to be worth anything. And witnesses are going to be so important in this case when it comes to how these children lived. The only thing really law enforcement has got solid is Chris McDonough's interview and Chris McDonough's video footage. However, the kids had already been pulled from the home, and the kids were not in the home that day that he was in the home. I have never pulled a witness forward. I have never tried to interview a witness. I've never searched through anybody's Facebook profiles looking for a witness. I have looked for evidence, and I have researched one particular person that has inserted himself in the case because no other missing child case that I could find in history had a media manager. Not even John Benet Ramsey. And you would think, as popular as she was with doing the beauty pageants and her, she was pretty popular doing her things. And her parents had a lot of money. And you would think if any missing child case would have a media manager of any sorts, it would have been a case like hers. But no, all they hired was defense attorneys. And where was Mr. Media Manager the day that Grandis done her interview with WJHL? Did that just slide by him? Was he taking a nap that day? Because she totally got off script. Because now not only was she taking a nap, but she says they waited for the prescription to get filled, and then they went swimming. She didn't say anything about dropping the script off, going swimming, and then coming back and picking up the script. She said they waited for the prescription to be filled, and then they went swimming. So where was Mr. Media Manager that day? I guess he was taking a nap. I don't know. Well, like I said, I think because Don's When Don was talking about that Canon camera, first he said that law enforcement took the camera, right? Then later, with an interview with Cher, he said that it was not on the receipt statement with the TVs and everything else. And he did not know what happened with the camera, and he was afraid that he would never see it again. Hey, Andrea. Welcome. And perhaps somebody stole that camera. Well, perhaps he gave it to his media manager to get all the pictures off of it and to release all the pictures that we've been seeing of Summer throughout the past 9 months, and to hide the ones that we definitely do not need to see, and the ones that law enforcement do not need to see. And that is just in my opinion now. That's, hey, Truth Seeker. Thank you. And that's just in my opinion, and that's after hearing Don state several times that the camera's lost. Everybody has questioned Don several times after he has said law enforcement wiped those phones and there was nothing on those phones except from 3:30 on. Well, I don't think law enforcement wiped the phones. Law enforcement cloned the phones, yes, but they did not wipe the phones. I don't think there was anything on those phones except from 3:30 on. I think that those phones were wiped and a new Apple ID was created after whatever was done was done. After I heard Tim say, well, I had already done her phone, but his phone kept messing up, blah, blah, blah. And now it's vanished. Right. Does anybody else have an iPhone that is familiar with how you create a new Apple ID? Or how you factory reset your phone? I've got an iPhone. And did y'all catch my videos today of him saying that he's a dignitary for Russia? And that happened to be just right before the first Chernobyl explosion. I would like to know exactly what his job title was. Alright, Oreo, if you wanted to reset your Apple ID and you went into iTunes, would you not have to do a complete factory reset on that and then create a new Apple ID? And would not everything disappear from the phone except from that point forward? Even in the iCloud? I mean, just think about it. There's just something just really fishy about him, just all the way around. You haven't had to do it. Well, I haven't with this phone, but the XR, when I had my XR, I wanted to change my Apple ID when I was going through my divorce because, of course, I didn't want my ex husband getting into stuff. And that's exactly what I had to do is I had to go into iTunes, just like Benny described, and download all my pictures, save the pictures, then it wipes the phone clean, and then you reset the Apple ID, creates a new iCloud, and bam, it wipes the phone from everything and it resets the phone from that point forward. Oh, yeah, he's making himself look guilty. Guilty AF. Without a doubt. And that's what I don't understand. I don't have to use an app. Why was it backed up to an app? What app? There is no app for backing it up. I don't get that part of it. What app? That's crazy. Definitely. Definitely. But that's okay because once anything is on your hard drive, it doesn't matter if you delete it or not. You have to destroy that hard drive. I mean, by fire or by force. And then sometimes, if they can actually recover the hard drive from fire, they can still recover what's on that hard drive. So even if he tries to delete it from his computer, it's still going to leave a trace of the files. Definitely, and I guarantee you that there is a book deal or a movie deal or something on the back end of this. And he was wanting Ryan Upchurch's attention so bad. Benny was, which I believe, part of that was Tim Mullen. And I'm still trying to figure out what occurred a couple of days ago that would tie into getting Ryan Upchurch's attention. And I wish Ryan would just cook his cornbread for him. Both of them. I mean, like, how does it even fit? Right, another distraction or more attention. Most definitely. Most definitely. It's ridiculous though because he was trying to say, "Oh, well, Ryan just wants more people like Candace and Don, Summerwell's mother and daddy. He wants more type of people like that to buy his album. That's the only reason that he's involved." And I thought that was as low as a human being could go. Because, Ryan does a lot of good for his state. He does a lot of good for Cheatham County. He does a lot of good for his community. And his reputation just stands for itself. And I thought, you will never just be a quarter of what that man is. So why even put him down for him trying? At least he was trying to put it out there for 3 million people to hear about this case. Because I thought that's what all of us wanted in reality was national attention. Absolutely, Ryan is a good person with a huge heart and soul. That's what we all wanted was national attention focused on this little girl, right? And that's what we have been hollering and screaming to the rooftops for months. National attention for Summer Wells. We even had petitions out there for TV stations to pick it up so that we might could just get third, a third of the attention that Ryan could get on one live on his platform. And Benny Skis screws that up. So yeah, I wish, I wish that Ryan would just cook his cornbread for him. And cook Tim Mullins too while he's at it. And then do one great big live about Summer Wells. And I pray that Ryan does pick up his mic one more time and do one more live for Summer. Because she deserves it. Candace doesn't deserve it. Dawn doesn't deserve it. None of us in the true crime community really deserves it. But Summer deserves it. Summer's worth it. So if anybody knows Ryan out there, pass that message to him for me that Summer is worth it. And will he please pick up that mic one more time for her? Oh, really? We people in the South, down here in Tennessee and Alabama, have always stuck together like family. And those people don't understand and will never experience what we have up here in Appalachia. And they won't understand at what lengths that we will go to get this little girl home. And I'm going to close my live with that right now. And I'm going to say this like I always do. Without my subscribers, I would be sitting here talking to myself. I love each and every one of you. Let's see what we can't do to get this little girl home. Thank everybody. Thank you for being here, listening to me, and chatting with me and conversing with me. And I will see you guys tomorrow. I love you.